All right, welcome back to Rick's Radio Conversions. So we're going to go ahead and we have Vertum's Lincoln radio, his second radio. We're going to kind of go through electrically and kind of show you how the Town and Country works. Hopefully you can see down in here, that right there is this small gear and relay that runs the mechanism that goes down the tuning dial. There's a ginormous spring right here that pulls all this together. Here's your tuning. Here's your tuning gear set. Okay, so when you hit the Town and Country knob, the button there, and this relay is going to engage. Hopefully you can see the flywheel spinning there. Now we'll take a minute here. So once again, this is where the tuning diaphragm is, the rubber piece that was bad. And if you didn't see the last video, so if you take a look at this, you can see in the center, you can see all the textured area that does not get met by the little clutch down in there. And the outsides are extremely shiny, which means they're worn down. Just like a disc in your car, right, for a manual transmission. As this wears out, the transmission slips, right? And that's what causes the needle in the front not to move. So this is out of one of the radios. The rubber is still halfway decent, just wore out. This one is almost petrified. It's still thick, but it is hard to rock, and it's got a good sheen to it, which I think that just means that it had probably sat forever. And once again, there's just no grip to this at all. So if you also look, this outside part of the clutch, this is what actually drives the needle. Underneath here is another bar that runs through here. That this is one half of the bridge. There's another half on this side over here that runs through and then moves the needle piece in here. So as you can see, all the mechanics that go with that, you'll see that move. So when the clutch slips, this stays still, but everything else moves. So in theory, the tuner is moving, but the needle is not. And here is the reset switch for the solenoid we talked about earlier. This guy here slides back and forth, and there's the other half. And as the dial gets closer, a little bar comes and pushes it across, scoots it across, makes the ground, and that's what engages the solenoid. So we'll go through it again here. You can kind of see. Now watch, so you can slowly see the switch is starting to come out, and we're starting to make contact down here. See how that works? You can also see both discs, both clutches are moving, which means that everything is good, which tells you that your needle's moving. And that's how all that works. Fairly complicated piece of gear. Through the Aurora Design boards that we use, all of this awesomeness that was made by Ford is totally cool, and it totally gets thrown away. There's two boards, top and bottom. One board is your AM, this is the FM, and the other board controls all of the search tune functions. All that gets thrown away. The only thing that we actually use is what we're doing right now is we apply power, right, to one side of the relay. That then gets bridged. This black wire here gets bridged, and that goes down to the solenoid. So when the relay engages, the flywheel spins, everything gets brought down, and then this is what triggers your ground to run the solenoid back to reload or recock the tuner. Everything else we don't use. So that's just kind of, you know, some of the unique abilities of using the Aurora design to have your stuff converted is that this will run all day, just because of the simplicity of the system, because of the actual computer board. And we'll just kind of look through this guy right here. So this is one of our displays. We just have it up. We go back to my show. Not many wires used on this board. In the search tune for the Town and Country, almost all of them are used because it had a fader and had a balance and all that other kind of stuff. But the microprocessor in here controls all of this on when to stop on a station. Just some kind of neat things to look at. I think I'm going to post this also to my normal Facebook. I got a lot of technical people that enjoy this kind of stuff. So, you know, like I say, this is how it was done back in the 60s, before the digital seeker, you know, digital radios came out. This is how you automatically search for stations. And all I'm doing is I'm just grounding out that other side of the relay. I could probably play with this all day, but anyway, I'm not going to. So that's enough for that. We'll turn the power off on that guy. And as we talked about earlier, we're going to switch over here now to a, this is an old, I think it's a Mopar tuner. And I kind of got one hand, I'm one-handing all this so you guys can see a little bit better. So once again, when you tune, let me get my bearings here, where's the camera at? When you tune, all right, so when you push a button, this guy here disengages, you tune it, and then this moves to move the needle. Manually tuning, we'll just say that there's a rod on this gear set right here. So that's how this all works, right? Well, the only way this is working is by, there's a giant spring in here that holds the clutch together, right? You can see that. And then on one side there's a piece of metal, the other side there's a piece of metal. So it squishes it together. This one I think is about done as well. You really can't see in there too good, but due to having a really good spring, it's made good compression against the discs. But just like a transmission, when the disc wears out, you've got to get it replaced. So that's kind of how all that works. You know, it's not rocket science, but it is, you know, when I ask folks, is your radio a good contender to get converted? So one of the things is, when you move the knob, does the needle move? If your answer is yes, that means that chances are this disc is good, okay, as it is. Sometimes corrosion will get up in here, and you'll be able to do this all day. The minute that you go ahead and press a button, though, right? You see how that clutch is coming in and out. See how that's moving around like that. The minute that you press a push button, though, and you break all that corrosion off, and then you grab the tuning knob, and nothing happens, that means all that corrosion now is all separated, and your disc really is kind of done. So, you know, if you want to get your radio converted, we can change the disc out. Some radios, like this one, right, buried down in there, and all of this had to come off. Every single piece of gear had to come off, clean, put back on again. Not a big deal, time consuming, and if anything breaks along the way, that's an issue. And everybody knows, working on a 40-year piece of gear, 50-year piece of gear, it looks good, you touch a screw, breaks off or whatever, you know, and then bad stuff happens. So that's where that one is. This one, holy cow, that one's so easy to change. I didn't have to. This is an NOS radio, but you know, so it really just kind of depends what kind of radio it is. and where it's at. So once again, for those that are considering it, make sure that you know, you really run through your tuner, run through all the buttons. It's not the end of the world if this needs to get replaced. However, though, if it's a unique radio, and we'll just say, as a for instance, we break whatever that is off inside of the disc there, and I can't pull this off, it could be a big issue. You can kind of see it's a really small set screw that you use pliers, needle nose, to break it, to loosen off, not an Allen set, just the way they did it back then. So once again, more stuff to think about. Anyway, that's it for now. Hopefully you enjoyed this lesson on clutch tuners, Town and Country radios. The Wunderbar radio is almost identical to this. In fact, I would probably bet that this was contracted through Delco to build. One day I'll open up the '69 Oldsmobile. How about that? Same year as this, same exact design almost. So you know, that's just one of the things here that we're due is get some education out to some folks that really want to do this. It does cost you know, a good bit of money. The tuning radio is a little bit more than the manual radios, but you know, nonetheless, you need to be well informed before you turn your radio in, whether it's to me or anybody else. You know, of how it works. It's important that you know how it works. So that's it. We hope you enjoyed this little learning session. And if you want your radio converted, please call 757-716-9305. Find us at ricksradioconversions.com or also on Facebook. That's it for now. Bye.